Hey everybody, let's analyze our normally distributed data now. So this is the normal distribution function, but we need the mean and the standard deviation. So the formula for the mean looks like you add up all the data points divided by the total number. And then for the standard deviation, we need this mean. So then you take whatever data point, take the difference between that and the mean, square it, add all of these up, divided by n minus 1, and take the square root of this. Okay, so that's standard deviation. And if you have data like this, you could just use the formulas in Google Sheets or Excel. For the mean, the function looks like this. Average, and then let's say this A2 through A10. And then this function gives you this. And then if you type STDEV, standard deviation, of that same range of data, this, for these cells, give you this. Just like that. Nothing much more to do. But that's if your data is listed like this. But when you're taking data, it's probably more like we have bin 7, 8, 9. And we have 2 of these, 4 of these, 3 of these. So if you have data like this, how do you use these functions? Not really like this anymore, because it's not listed. So let's take a look at what this really looks like if you write it out. The mean is, for this, 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 9. Oh, I have too many 7s. There, 2 of them, right? And 9 plus 9 plus 9 over 9 of these. Right, so that's the mean. But notice that, look, there's 2 7s. There are 4 8s. There are 3 9s. And then it's 2 plus 4 plus 3. 2 plus 4 plus 3. And then now look at this compared to this. So this is called a weighted mean, where the weights are 2 and 4 and 3. This. So how do you do this on a spreadsheet? You can just type sum product, this function, and I'll show it. I copied it right here. This function, sum product. So if you have data like this, sum product is this array, comma, this array. This array, comma, this array. It does exactly what we wanted. So in this case here, C2 through C4, comma, this one, D2 through D4, does exactly this times this, plus this times this, plus this times this, right? Which is exactly what we want. So that's the numerator, and then you go divided by the sum of these. So divided by the sum of this, D2 through D4. Okay, and then this is the mean, but when your data looks like this. How about standard deviation? So if you look at this formula, it looks like, take our data point, like 7, minus the mean, squared, plus next data point, 7 minus the mean squared, plus next data point, 8 minus the mean squared plus the next data point, and you just keep going. It's like tedious. And then, right, 9 minus the mean squared, 9 minus the mean squared, etc. Okay, divided by n minus 1, 9 minus 1, and then square root the whole thing. But what a terrible way to do it, right? Because look, there are 2 of these. 2 7 minus mean squared. There are 4 of these. 4 times 8 minus the mean squared. And there are 3 of these. 3 times 9 minus the mean squared over 2 plus 4 plus 3. Minus 1, and then square root this whole thing. So this is what we want to do. So how do we do that? We need this data right here, which we can put in a column right here. I'll put this in column E. So it'll be more like this goes 7 minus the mean. If I put the mean somewhere over here, like over here. If I put this here in cell D7, D7 squared, like this, squared. So this is in cell E2. And then in a spreadsheet, what you do is you put your mouse in this bottom corner, and then you can drag the formula down. But then that'll, so instead of 7, this is cell number C2. But then to drag the formula, if I drag the formula, this will change it to D2, E2. But then this will also change it to something else. Oh, sorry, not D2, E2. This will be C3, C4. But then this will change to D8, D9. That's not what I want. I want to keep this cell. So to lock the cell on your keyboard, you press F4 when you enter D7, and it puts little dollar signs here. Or you can type it manually. And then that way, it's always using this cell for the mean. Okay, so these numbers just represent these. I still need to do 2 times that, 4 times that, 3 times that, which is exactly that whole sum product, because we want this times this, plus this times this, plus this times this. And how you do that is that whole sum product, right? Sum product of this, comma, this. Okay, and then to finish off, then divided by all this thing, and then in quantity, oh, this should be square root, sorry, square root. Square root, there. Okay. And then once that's done, to plot the normal distribution, we can just use a built-in formula in spreadsheets called normal distribution. And you just have to give it the data point, the mean, standard deviation. And we don't want the cumulative one. So here we'll put false. False. We don't want this. Okay, let's try it on the spreadsheet. Let's calculate the mean and standard deviation. So again, we say average this. Okay, so that's the mean. And then for standard deviation, like this. And then this range of data. Okay, so we got the mean and the standard deviation if the data is like this. But in bins, it's like there's bin 7 and 8 and 9. And in bin 7, we had 2 of them. In bin 8 we had 4, and in bin 9 we had 3 of them. So now how do we find the mean and standard deviation when the data is like this? We do that same, right, equals. We wanted to do that sum product of this, comma, this. Okay, so that's the numerator. The denominator, we want to add up this. Okay, so look, same, right? Okay, and then for the standard deviation, we needed to do a little bit of extra work here. So say equals this minus the mean squared, but this is correct for this cell, but see if I drag this down here, that's not the formula. I wanted to keep 9 minus the mean over here. So for cell C12, I needed to lock this in by pressing F4 in my keyboard, which adds those dollar signs. Now, like if I look at this, right, this is the correct formula. And now I want this times this plus this times this plus this times this. So that's the whole sum product function of this, comma, this. Okay, and then divided by n minus 1. So n is the sum of these, and then minus 1. And then I want to square root this whole thing. So sqrt is the square root function. Okay, and there we go. See that? Standard deviation, same. So the method works. All right, let's try it on my data over here. Okay, so let's go through the process again. For the mean, let's see, for the mean, it is sum product, right, of all of this, comma, all of this. That's the numerator. Then the denominator, sum of all of these quantities, the weights. Okay, so there's the mean. Close to the target bin 5. I was a little bit off to the right. Okay, standard deviation. We needed that little bit of extra work, right? So it was this bin minus the mean, and then I'm going to press F4 to add those dollar signs, and then that quantity squared. Okay, and now I can drag this formula down so it's valid for all the cells, right? And then now I wanted to add this times this plus this times this plus this times this. So that's the sum product of this, comma, this, and then divided by n minus 1. So n would be the sum of this, okay, minus 1, and then square root the whole thing, sqrt. Okay, so there's the standard deviation. All right, now let's find the normal distribution. So we'll use that normal distribution function. I'm gonna move this over just so that I can put the normal distribution over here next to it. Okay, and then that function was norm, like this one. And then the bin, comma, the mean, and I'm going to put the dollar signs, comma, the standard deviation with dollar signs, and then false. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to drag this formula. Okay, so this should look like that bell curve. Now let's graph it. So to graph it, I'm going to highlight these and then insert chart. Okay, and we could just have it like a bar chart. So now it's a little bit about what'll look nice. So I think I would like to see the actual data as bars, as columns, and then the normal distribution as a curve. So I'm going to click on combo chart, and then we go to customize, and then see under series for the quantity is what I called my actual data. I could just rename that to data. So I have columns. So that's it right here. And then for the normal distribution, this, I want it to be a line. The problem is the numbers are so small. So what I can do is I'll put these numbers on another axis. So you see here axis, I can move that to the right axis. So see how the scale is different. But really we're just after that shape. And I'm going to make the line a little bit thicker there. And it's kind of, I can smooth it out here under chart style. See here, it's smooth. Oh, that looks better, right? Okay, and then that's it. You're good. You can take this graph, paste it in your lab report. This table right here, you can put this table in your lab report, and then make sure to have pictures of your cool setup. Put that in your lab report, and then you're all good. So if you have any questions about any of this, just let me know in the forum, and then I can post a response, or I can post more videos that explain things if necessary. But if not, I'll see you on the next video.